Offset, one-third of Migos, a man who once sat at the top of hip-hop, is now lying in a hospital bed after being shot at a Florida casino over gambling debts, while reportedly asking his estranged wife, Cardi B, for money just to stay afloat. The story of how he got here starts inside a casino on a Monday night. On the evening of Monday, April 6, 2026, Offset was shot near the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Hollywood, Florida. He was rushed to Memorial Regional Hospital, and his representative later confirmed his condition. Offset was shot and is currently in the hospital receiving medical care. He is stable and being closely monitored. Then more details started spilling out. Footage began circulating online showing the moment Lil Tjay allegedly attacked and shot Offset inside the casino. Reports claimed the shooting was tied to a $10,000 gambling debt that Offset refused to pay. But that $10,000 was only the surface of the problem. Other reports alleged that Offset owed as much as $900,000 from money he had borrowed for gambling. And this was not some sudden fallout. The tension between Offset and Lil Tjay had reportedly been building for months before anyone pulled the trigger. Back in January 2025, Tjay went on a Twitch stream and said Offset was living off Cardi and dealing with a serious gambling addiction, even claiming he had seen Offset begging people for money at a casino. Tjay did not keep any of it private. He repeatedly called Offset broke and said the Migos rapper owed him $10,000 from a gambling debt. He went on Instagram. He went on Twitch. He went anywhere he could to tell people that Offset was borrowing money and not paying it back. Then, on that Monday night in Hollywood, Florida, the two of them crossed paths again. The incident happened at the Seminole Hard Rock Hollywood, where both artists were reportedly present before an altercation escalated. Things went from words to fists, and then to gunfire. After the shooting, Lil Tjay was detained outside the casino. According to the Seminole Police Department, the Bronx rapper was charged with disorderly conduct in a fray, a first-degree misdemeanor under Florida law. Notably, officials did not charge him with any weapons-related offenses. His lawyer responded quickly. Attorney Dawn M. Florio released a statement pushing back, saying, "Lil Tjay has not been shot, nor has Lil Tjay been charged with any shooting. Any reporting to the contrary is false." Then came the part that made this story explode even more. TMZ released an exclusive showing Offset for the first time since being shot, smoking in a hospital gown. The internet went wild, and once Lil Tjay was released, he poured even more fuel on the fire. Tjay called Offset a rat after getting out of custody, claiming on camera that Offset had identified him to authorities. He mocked the moment, saying Offset had apparently pointed at him and said he had been shot. Could you believe that? So now you had Offset shot in a casino, hospitalized, caught on camera smoking in a gown, and being called a snitch by the same man he allegedly owed money to. But the shooting was really just a symptom of something much deeper. Because the question on everyone's mind was not only who shot Offset, but how did Offset end up broke enough to borrow money from Lil Tjay in the first place? To understand how he got here, you have to go back to where the money first came from. Offset, born Kiari Kendrell Cephas, is best known as a member of the Atlanta hip-hop trio Migos, alongside Quavo and the late Takeoff. The group released 4 commercially successful studio albums, Young Rich Nation, Culture, Culture 2, and Culture 3, before disbanding in 2023. At their peak, the money was massive. From September 2017 to September 2018, Migos earned a total of $25 million thanks to a packed touring schedule that saw the group perform 93 shows in 12 months. From September 2018 to September 2019, Migos brought in another $36 million. These were not just rappers, they were a full-blown cultural phenomenon. The Versace fits, the chains, the cars, the lifestyle, it all looked endless. But the cracks inside Migos were much deeper than most people realized. In October 2022, the breakup of Migos became the subject of heavy speculation after reports claimed Offset had slept with Quavo's ex-girlfriend, Saweetie. Did you see this coming? That betrayal cut through family ties. Remember, Quavo is Takeoff's uncle, and Offset is Quavo's cousin. This was not just a business split, it was a family breakdown. Then came the devastating loss nobody saw coming. Takeoff was murdered outside a Houston bowling alley on November 1, 2022. during an argument tied to a dice game he was not even playing. He was only 28 and was described by local police as an innocent bystander. The tragic irony is hard to ignore. A gambling dispute took Takeoff's life, and now, years later, another gambling dispute has put a bullet in Offset. Even before the group fell apart, Offset was also tied up in a bitter legal fight over his solo career. He filed a lawsuit against Quality Control, accusing the label of trying to claim his solo work even after he had allegedly paid millions for the rights to his own. The lawsuit was eventually dropped, but the damage was already done. Time, energy, and money were burned in the process. His solo career, which once looked promising after Father of Four debuted at number 4 on the Billboard 200, began to lose momentum. His third studio album reportedly flopped commercially, doing little to refill his shrinking reserves as the Migos machine stopped printing money. But Offset's expenses did not stop. The lifestyle he built during the Culture era, the mansions, the jewelry, the entourage, the cars, all of it still needed cash flow that was no longer coming in the same way. And while his estranged wife Cardi B was breaking records and stacking millions, Offset's path was moving in the opposite direction. His estimated net worth sat at $40 million compared to Cardi's $100 million. But even that $40 million figure was starting to look shaky once the next wave of problems came into public view. If the money was drying up, Uncle Sam was draining whatever was left. The IRS came after Offset in a way that would make any accountant lose sleep. Offset was hit with a $1.5 million tax debt demanded by the IRS. The Internal Revenue Service filed documents on December 26, 2025. Placing a lien that accused the entertainer of owing $1,575,266.73 for the year 2022. That bill had been hanging over his head ever since the lien was originally filed on April 3, 2024. But paying off one massive tax bill did not make the problem disappear. Offset was then hit with a separate six-figure tax lien by the IRS for owing $486,426.35 in taxes for 2023. And the IRS was not the only government agency chasing him. Another lien filed by the Georgia Department of Revenue in March 2025 alleged that he owed $292,000 for 2021, with the original amount of $167,916 growing larger because of interest, penalties, and collection fees. Add it all up, and the total of the liens yet to be resolved came to $778,426. And that was only what had been officially documented. Tax liens are public record, which meant the whole world could watch the financial pressure closing in on Offset in real time. On top of the tax mess, Offset was also dealing with a legal judgment tied to a physical altercation. A Miami judge granted two alleged victims a default judgment totaling $232,000 after they claimed Offset had struck them in the face, body, and head. Offset had been trying to vacate that judgment for months, with a hearing set for February 2026. Another bill, another courtroom, another drain on money that was already running low. What would you have done? When you are bleeding money from every direction, taxes, lawsuits, a fading career, and a lifestyle that still demands constant cash, the urge to chase one big win can become overwhelming. And for Offset, that temptation reportedly lived inside places like the Seminole Hard Rock Casino. A growing body of research suggests that the sports betting and gambling boom has brought serious financial strain for bettors. A recent report from the New York Federal Reserve found that sports betting is linked to falling credit scores in the more than 30 U.S. states where it is legal, and the numbers get even worse in states that allow online betting. One study reported a 10% increase in the likelihood of bankruptcy and an 8% increase in debt collection amounts. The house usually wins, and Offset, reportedly buried under nearly $1 million in gambling debts alone, appeared to be no exception. Lil Tjay himself said he saw Offset in the casino panicking. That word choice says everything, and this is where the Cardi B part of the story becomes even more revealing. Cardi B and Offset originally filed for divorce back in September 2024. Their marriage had been a roller coaster almost from the start. They secretly got married in 2017, and the relationship was famously rocky, breaking down in part because of Offset's infidelity. Cardi first filed for divorce in September 2020, but they reconciled. After confirming their split in December 2023, she filed for divorce again in July 2024. This time, it appeared final, but Offset did not go quietly. In February 2025, Offset filed for joint custody and spousal support from Cardi. Then on May 30th, Cardi B went off on social media. After learning that Offset had officially filed for spousal support, she did not hold back. She called him a deadbeat dad and blasted him for not contributing to the children's expenses. Cardi laid out the numbers. She revealed she pays $10,000 a month for a driver to take the kids to school and activities, and that her daughter Culture's school tuition alone costs $45,000 a year. She said Offset, whose net worth was said to be around $40 million, had not been contributing to those costs and had left her paying the full amount for an entire year. She also accused him of being an absentee father, claiming he had only seen their youngest child 5 times and had skipped several planned visits. Then Cardi dropped the line that seemed to expose what was really happening behind the scenes. During a September 2025 livestream on X Spaces, she said the only reason she was still married was because somebody wanted her to pay for their taxes. She continued by saying the only way she could get out of the marriage was if she paid for somebody else's taxes and gave them one of her properties. Then she said it plainly, "I'm practically still married because somebody wants to hold me hostage if I don't give them millions of dollars to get out of it." That somebody was Offset. He was not just asking for a fair split. According to reports, the rapper filed for spousal support after claiming she left him with the kids after becoming pregnant with her 4th child, her first with new boyfriend Stefon Diggs, and he wanted a 70/30 split of their assets. In a marriage where Cardi's net worth was far higher than his, a 70/30 split in his favor was an enormous demand. Was he wrong for this? In that alleged arrangement, Cardi would have had to pay more than $50 million to her ex-husband. Offset reportedly argued, "I built her brand. I deserve half." Allegedly insisted he deserved a larger share because he supported Cardi B during the early stage of her career and contributed heavily to her rise. The argument was that without Offset co-signing Cardi's career, introducing her to the right people, and amplifying her profile during their public relationship, she would never have reached the level she did. Whether that argument holds up is debatable. What is not debatable is that by November 2025, reports claimed Offset rejected a $10 million settlement offer from Cardi. $10 million was not enough for him. Meanwhile, Cardi B's net worth in 2026 was estimated at $100 million. She had a new album, Am I the Drama? She had a pregnancy with Stefon Diggs, and she had a career that was still moving at full speed. Offset, by contrast, was drowning in tax liens, legal judgments, gambling debts, and a solo career that was no longer bringing in the kind of money he needed. The man who once interrupted Cardi's concert with $15,000 worth of roses while begging her to take him back was now pleading in a very different way. This time, it was for money to survive. So where does this story end up? After being shot, after landing in the hospital, after being called a snitch by Lil Tjay on camera, what does the full picture of Offset's situation actually look like? It looks like a man trapped in a brutal cycle. Gambling is classified as a psychiatric condition and is listed among addictive disorders, affecting around 0.5% of the general adult population. For the people who fall into it, the consequences can be devastating. More than 20% of compulsive gamblers eventually file for bankruptcy because of gambling losses, and the divorce rate for problem gamblers is twice that of non-gamblers. The pattern is almost always the same: borrowing from coworkers, friends, or family to keep gambling, lying about how much money was lost, and feeling the need to keep betting bigger amounts just to recover earlier losses. When their own money runs out, they start looking for it anywhere else they can. That is exactly what Lil Tjay claimed he saw. He said he watched Offset inside a casino panicking, borrowing money he could not pay back. Tjay said he lent Offset $5,000 at the casino and that Offset owed him more than $10,000, and that $10,000 was apparently just one debt among many. Reports now say Offset owes as much as $900,000 for money borrowed for gambling. Has this ever happened to you? Meanwhile, the divorce with Cardi B keeps dragging on. The divorce filed in July 2024 still is not finalized. Offset's alleged demands, especially the ones involving money and assets, remain unresolved. He refused $10 million. He wants more. And while those negotiations continue, the bills keep piling up, the debts keep growing, and the desperation appears to be getting worse. It is also worth pointing out that Lil Tjay's own history makes this story even more layered. Tjay himself was shot 7 times in 2022 during a robbery attempt. He knows exactly what it feels like to be on the other end of a bullet. And yet, according to the reports, the confrontation at the Hard Rock still escalated into gunfire. That is how explosive a $10,000 gambling debt can. The Offset story is ultimately a story of contrast. On one side, you have a man who was once part of a group that made $36 million in a single year, who helped create some of the most defining songs in modern hip-hop, and who married one of the biggest female rappers in history. On the other side, you have a man lying in a hospital bed with a gunshot wound, owing money to the IRS, the state of Georgia, Lil Tjay, unnamed casino creditors, and, based on his own divorce filings, trying to pull as much money as possible from the woman he used to be married to. The former couple were together for almost 7 years and have 3 children together, Blossom, Wave, and Culture. Those kids are watching their parents go through all of this. And their father is the same man who now reportedly owes nearly $1 million in gambling debts, has hundreds of thousands in outstanding tax liens, and was shot in a casino over money he borrowed and did not repay. Do you feel bad for him? Whether Cardi B eventually agrees to a massive settlement, and whether Offset would use that money to clear his debts or put it right back on the table, is still unknown. But if the pattern holds, and addiction patterns usually do unless something truly changes, then the money from any divorce settlement may simply become the next pile of cash that disappears. As Cardi herself said on that X Spaces live stream, this is not a love story anymore. It is a hostage negotiation, and the ransom is millions of dollars that Offset needs to survive the mess he created for himself.